My name is Fátima. Thank you for coming back, and if you're a new visitor, thank you for coming. I hope you have a good time. So the past 2 weeks I didn't have much happening. It's just that my children are in Brazil, and we decided that we are going to spend the Christmas just the two of us. We're going camping, and so I wasn't going to do any Christmas decorations. And then yesterday my friend Yolanda sent me a picture of her cat with her Christmas tree, and then suddenly the spirit of Christmas came to me, and I talked to my husband. We decided to go out in the woods and get our tree and decorate it. So we decorated this morning. We went yesterday. We went down there, and when we found a tree that we wanted, we wanted to film it, and he had no SIM card in it. So we came back and we ended up finding a tree right near the house, and here it is. So it feels good. It feels Christmassy. And I have here some vintage ornaments that I used for a long time. I used to go to Value Village during Christmas time and get old ornaments, and I love them, and I have a bunch of them. Then I also have some IKEA stuff, and I have some gray stuff that is what I got when I was living in Belgium. I went to Germany, and that was 20 years ago, and they had this gray face, so I bought a lot of gray stuff, and I have them here. But I'm happy. It's Christmas. Even if it's just the two of us, this brings a good feeling inside. So I'm pretty happy with that. The other thing that happened was that 2 weeks ago, my dog, Mumu is 9, going to be 10 in April, but we didn't fix him, and we had to fix him now. So I thought this was a pretty good cone, because it's very easy to put in and to take out. I don't know the brand, and I don't know if it's only here in Canada. It's the first time that I get this. It is, I don't know, cab. But the thing is that when he was sleeping, or when he was with us, that we were checking him out not to lick himself, it was very, very easy to take off. And I think that made a whole difference for him, because he could rest without having the cone around him all the time. So if he was sleeping, we took it out. It worked really fine. 17 years ago, I bought a dog, Gypsy. It was an American Cocker Spaniel. And then 3 years later, we went to Brazil, and I found Cookie, that was an English Cocker Spaniel. And I brought her here, and she had a litter as we were expecting, but I was expecting 4 puppies. She had 8. So we gave 5 puppies, and we kept 3, 1 to my sister. And before I could fix her, she had another litter, another 8 puppies. We lost 1, and one of them was hand-fed. So we had to keep him, because we could save him, we couldn't save the other, we couldn't give him away. So, and then my sister had a problem with her dogs and the puppy. So I didn't want the puppy to be going from house to house. So I got her back. And for a few years, we had 7 dogs with us. Nowadays, we have only 4. So it's a little bit sad, but we are happy. 3 of them are 10, and Mumu is, 3 of them are 11. And Mumu, I think, is going to be 10 in April. So if they decide to come by, I'll show you, because normally they do come by. So being said that, I'm going to start talking about the projects and how I am. The only thing that I finished, so I had done this sock before that are for the trails, and the only thing that I finished was this sock. I did a video, I posted a video yesterday about it, or this week. And the thing here is, I posted a video there because it wasn't clear to me that I was clear explaining how to do it. And I decided to make the video. So this is done, and this socks here is the next socks I'm working on. They're made in the same way as as this sock. So calculating the number, fitting it to see if it works fine, and then dividing by the number by 3 on the size there. As if you see this video, you see the explanation. I just wanted really to tell you that even though this is a thinner yarn and I'm doing a fair isle on the socks, I still use the same process. So right now on this socks, I am on the part that I'm going to start doing the back of the heel, and then it's going to be exactly like that. So since we are, and what I wanted to tell you is that I learned this with Kate Atherley, and she did this book, Knit to Fit Your Feet. So it's pretty good. It's just that when I read the book, I couldn't get it. So luckily Interweave was selling her video about this book, and I decided to buy it. And it made it so easy to understand and so easy to make the socks that this is how I make my socks nowadays if I'm not following a pattern. And it's really, really good. I recommend. So this is how I'm doing, how I calculate the measurements just to fit my husband's feet. And it's working fine. The other thing I wanted to show is that I found, I love socks. I do love socks a lot. And I buy a lot of sock stuff, sock books, Soccupied and stuff. So this Op Art book is my favorite book about socks. And I have started knitting this socks, and I stopped it because when I started knitting the socks, I didn't know how people that knit Portuguese style, that is with the yarn around your back or on pins, did color work. And because of that, I was having a hard time to knit it. And the socks are beautiful. Just want to show it. They're gorgeous. Like my husband wanted a sweater with this pattern because it is so beautiful. It is beautiful. And now I know how to knit with the two strands, and you have to knit on the back side. But I wanted also to point out that now that I knit the Portuguese style color work, I see that this is not that bad, but this is much better in terms of how I tie the yarn around, and it's much easier. Here I suffered, and that's why I stopped. So I'm going to try this one. I am doing them together as I go. So this one I finished the heel. I'm ready to work in the round again. This one I'm finishing this part now, and then I'll work both together. So that's what how I've been doing, because that makes it easier for me to do, to not dismotivate. Because once you knit one sock, it's always a struggle to knit the other sock. So that's why I like to knit them together. And because I now knit with the magic loop, I have enough needles to work with a few socks at a time. There was something else I wanted to say about socks. Oh, the other thing is that I got my Fair Isle knitting Alice Starmore's book, and I just got to the sample and I started working on that. And I was just merry-go-round, going all around the yarn, and I was happy because normally when I'm knit socks, I have just a stockinette here and I have the pattern here, right? And I said, oh, I don't have to worry about that. It's just that when you are doing the increases, it does, you have to pay more attention to. And I think that for my next pair of socks, I'll try to design something based on her samples. Like for example, Piri, that is what they call one line design, or small lines designs like 1 or 2. So I started doing 1 line Piris, and then 3 lines Piris here. Then I decided I don't like the 1 line. And I think the cool with the Piris is to work them together with larger patterns. The other thing that was a learning process here is I want this to be a very warm sock for my husband for next week when we go camping. And when I was knitting here, so you have 2 yarns going through when you're doing the collar work, but then if you're going to do lines with 1 collar only, those lines are not going to be as thick. They're going to be thin. I didn't want that, so I decided that even though it is 1 collar, I got 2 strands of the same yarn, and I used that. This way the whole sock is going to be cushy and warm, very warm. The other thing I was told is that when you use a gauge that is tight, there are less chances of felting. And I would say that 90% of my socks are made with 100% wool, not washed, superwashed wool. I don't like to work with superwash, so that helps a lot. And I'm just going to throw it there. So this is my commitment to finish this into 2020. I still have to go another way. And this is a hand spun yarn, and this is a commercial yarn, but they turned out really nice together. I really like the socks, and now that it's a little bit easier to knit collar work, maybe I should try to do it. The thing also here is that when you are knitting Portuguese style, you knit on the purl side. You purl, you don't knit, because purling is easier than knitting and it's easier to control. So for this sock that I started knitting one way, I'm going to have to use, because you have a left sock and a right sock. So I'm going to change this here. Like this was the right sock. I'm going to have the left sock of the second part so that I have the pattern working. But my goal. And that's the nice thing about these videos, is because now I'm committed to finish that, at least for the next, for the first one of the 2001. Other things that I like to do is, I'm watching podcaster. Her podcast is Cia Pod, CIAPOD, and I think it's CIASPOD, and she's Swedish, and she's been doing this for 4 years, I think, and she did on her podcast. She did a knit along, one sock a month, to learn new structures and new things. And I thought that I'm going to go with the commitment of knitting a different structure pair of socks a month. This I did, I think I finished this in September, and it is a totally different socks. I have to admit that it took me the time that I could have knitted 3 socks regular way, but they are interesting, and you can only see the details once you put them in. It's very completely out of the box sock construction. It's very nice, and this is from this book. It's Ann Budd, and it's sock knitting. It is this sock here. So, and I also have the Soccupied and stuff, that they have different construction for socks, and I think that's nice. So I want to go on with that. But I also recommend this book when I start learning how to knit socks. This is the sock that I got, Step Up to Toe Up. It's easy, and it has different kinds of heels, simpler ones, a little bit harder ones, and so it's pretty good if you want to start knitting socks. This is a good one. What I like about the toe up socks is that first, if you're not sure about the amount of yarn that you have, you can always stop in the middle. Like you can stop earlier and then have the 2 socks done the same size without having to undo everything. The other thing that I like about toes up socks is that you don't have to pick up stitches. I normally don't like to pick up stitches. So this book is really good. It's Wendy D. Johnson, and Step Up to Toe Up. This is my favorite kind of socks. So very good book. Then I am working on a new cowl, and now whenever I'm watching a podcast, I have the crafts commercial that was Blueprint for a while, and before that was Craftsy. So I think 3 years ago I had subscribed to it, and the only reason I stopped is because our internet, we live in the country, and where we are, we do not have internet. The internet that we have is phone internet, like wireless phone, and we have only 100 gigs. If we use after that, it becomes very, very expensive. And the 100 gigs is not cheap neither. Like we used to pay $90 for unlimited internet in Toronto. Here we pay $140 for 100 gigs. So it's really expensive. So that's the only reason why I stopped my membership with Craftsy, because they have all sorts of classes, and it was really good. But this year they were doing the promotion, I don't know if they're still doing it, that the first year is $7 US, and then the second year is $74 US for the year. So I said, I'm going to do it again because even if I don't watch a lot, a little bit goes a long way. And I learned some interesting things there that I needed to gather with the video, so that was cool. And now I decided to have a class of reversible knitting with Nora Gunn. And it is pretty cool. So I do recommend. She teaches a lot of things. I haven't gone through everything yet. But one of the things that she taught there is how you count where you are on the knitting, because I normally get lost, and I to a point that this year when I was doing a cable project, I was writing down so that I would know when it was the 6 rows and stuff. But even if you're writing down, sometimes you get too excited or you are watching TV and you lose. So she explained how you look. I can't explain here because it's too dark and too far. But if you have the chance to get craftsy, and if you watch this class of Nora Gunn, I don't know if you say Go Gun or Nora Gunn. I think it's Nora Gunn. And it is really, really good. And the pattern is so nice. So nice because even if you make mistakes, you catch your mistakes very fast when you're doing. The other thing about this pattern is that, so I said to myself, well, reversible, I was thinking, it's like when you're weaving winter and summer, summer and winter, that one thing is going to be exactly the other thing. And I said, this is not really reversible. But interestingly, it is reversible. Like I have this pattern here, and then in this side, in this next cable that I did the opposite way, is exactly the back side of this pattern. So in this way, it is reversible. So it's pretty cool. I thought it was really good. The other thing is, I haven't used it much just because I started it with this project, and it's an app, and it's called, what is it called? Knit Companion. And I really like this because you can, let me just get my thing back because I took it out. So you can mark where you are in the project. As long as you have the PDF file, you can move it in either way. And because it has a blue line here and the other line there, this pattern came in this position that I can move the blue line. Because if I move the yellow counter here, it's not going to help me. And I can't change the PDF line. It is in, I would say, landscape. So this Knit Companion is pretty good. I have seen other, I've heard this from a podcast. I think it was called Seaside Podcast or something like that. And she mentioned the Knit Companion app, and I went to my store and downloaded it, and it works really good. Also, the other thing that is cool on it is that you have here, oh, you can enlarge, of course, but you have here markers that you can count where you are if you want to count the rows or whatever. So it's pretty cool. There is it's kind of a buy version that you pay, I think, $20 a year. Some people say it's very worth it. I still have to use it more, and then I might consider buying it too. because so far it's good, but this is the first project that I'm knitting with. So that's pretty good, and I wanted to talk about that. So I really like this. So she had a scarf and she had a cow. I'm not really much of a cow person. And I know my daughter loves, she loves infinity scarves. So I'm going to do, I have two bobbins. I had this yarn that I spun before, and I knitted it, and it was a light blue. And when I was showing my friends, they saw the difference in the color. I had 3 balls, and when I dyed, I just dyed 2, so it's too late. But I got this, I over dyed it black, and I got this beautiful color, this charcoal gray. And I'm going to knit as much as I can to make a wrap, like a infinity scarf that you can do more than 2 balls. But I have to be careful because I knitted this infinity scarf, and I said, oh, I don't need to look at the gauge because it's a scarf. And also the scarf originally in the pattern was, I have the book, I forgot to put it here, but it was a different yarn. It was a thinner yarn, and I had spun this this yarn that I got from Wellington Fibers, you know, those beautiful boxes that they sell, and it is, I think, a little bit of alpaca, wool, and mohair, and it's very nice. It's a very bright color. I loved it. But the problem is when I do the rounds, I think it's too big. So I have to review this. And what I think I'm going to do with this project that I have never used because it didn't turn out good. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stick it. I'm learning sticking. So I'm going to stick it and then see how I can add to it. And I'm going to put buttons on one side so that I can still have infinity scarf, but that will work in a better way. And I have still this yarn, so I can, I ran out of this yarn, but I have this that I can make the borders there and put them together. I don't know, because I don't want to undo it. Then this is for another project, the scratch project. I'm not going to talk much about it because it's going to be there on the projects, but this is my yarn that I dyed in the ball. I just wanted to show you. I'm making a small sweater for a child, and because I don't have any child, this is to give to the children of the North whenever I have enough sweaters made. It's going to be very warm. And again, I use the top-down knitting book, and I'm just following their guidelines here, and hopefully it will fit somebody well. Also, because I don't know who it is, I try to have a rib pattern that I can do that. If you are interested in dyeing yarn, then the video will be there soon. Not so soon, next year. Then I finished spinning this yarn, and I wanted to do a hat with it, so I spun it woolen. I'm still thinking, because initially I thought about making a pattern with my Japanese stitch Bible, but because it's going to be a variegated yarn, I don't think it's gonna work well. But I can do another kind of hat, so I'm not sure yet if I'm going to over dye, because over dyeing on gray is really amazing. You get a deeper color. So I don't know, but I have more than enough for a hat here. Then let me see if I introduce you to Lucky. Lucky, come here, Lucky. Lucky, come here, Lucky. So 3 years ago, come sweetheart, good boy. 3 years ago, winter was coming, and I wanted to knit something fast for the dogs, to have more coat. So this coat is 3 years old, and it has been washed. Oops, no, you're not coming. No. So I have washed it a lot, and it shrunk a little because it was covering here before, but it still fits him. It shrunk this way but not sideways, so it's a big one and it's very hard. Normally when I do my rugs, I have this size fiber pencil woven, right? It's a top. So a few years ago I decided that I wanted to make blankets. What I did is I just separate the yarn, the fiber, like that, because I didn't want it too thick for the blankets. And I got this yarn. And when I did that pullover for my dog, my husband said, I want one too. And I think I started this a few years ago and I stopped. It stretched a lot. It has a lot of peel. Lux yarn sweater has a lot of peel, but because I washed in the washing machine many times, and I even put it on the dryer. So for him, he's not going to wash it that much, and if we wash, we're going to wash hand wash. So it's going to be smaller. And two things were helping me to procrastinate is because I wanted to do raglan top, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. I still don't know if I'm going to do a raglan top, but this is another commitment to finish in 2020. I don't have much time left, but I have. So let's say for the first video of 2021, I have a lot of fiber, and it's going to be a good sweater to go hiking because it's fluffy. When I do this, when I spin this, I have a electric spinning wheel for this kind of yarn. It has a very high intake, and it doesn't put too much twist. So when I'm dyeing, I kind of felt it a little bit so that it keeps the twist. And so if you see, the rug is thicker than this. But, so that's another project that has been there for a while. And I hope now that I'm starting to understand better how this thing works, that I'm going to be able to finish it off. I'm going to use natural and blue. The other thing I wanted to talk about, have a few things left and then it's going to be done, is about organization. I'm very messy with my fibers and I lose stuff. So I lose my glasses all the time and I lose stuff when I'm knitting markers come down. It's bad. And then I had my knitting needles. I got rid of my straight needles. I just have circular needles now, and I have the double points. Unfortunately, the double points don't fit here, but I got this at IKEA, and I can put a few double points there. But they only had this one in IKEA when we went there, and we're not going there very often now. This is good because it is smaller, but since I couldn't go to IKEA, I couldn't find it, I went to Walmart and I got these ones that I think are very good too, because I can see what is in there, and they're always tight. They don't have the best locking system. So for the ones that I just have the knitting needles, I am using just the lock system that they have. It's good enough. But for this one that I have little things that I might need on the go, so when I travel, I would just get this thing, and I have a few markers. I have whatever I need, what I use most, right? So this is pretty good. I like this very much. I have some crochet needles, some holders, scissors, the gauge thing, so that's pretty good. I think in 2015, my daughter was talking to me that she wanted long stockings, and she wanted, so I ended up knitting her this pair of socks. She wore it once. I made this top for her, and also a hat that had the same braid, and she said it was too matchy, too matchy, whatever. So she wore it once and never wore it again. So I said, okay, I'll keep it, and it's nice, it's warm. So the sock patterns were from this book. Just 1 second, please. Here they are. So the sock pattern is from this book. That is the French Girl Knits. And I do think they're beautiful. Here they made it just folding the end of the socks. In my case, I sewed them together, but I put a elastic band inside those for fabric and stuff, for skirts. So I put it here, and they're pretty good. The top, I do have the book. It is a winter weave wraps, and I think what I did is I just changed the braid, the cable, so that the cable would match the socks. And that was the thing that I did. Okay, so almost at the end. This is how my sweater is now, and I do love my sweater. So my sweater now is a coat. I still have the finishing to do, but it is now a coat. And what I have to do is the facing on the sides. I have to knit the two sides here, and then do the facing, and I'm not going to use buttons. We're going to use something else that you're going to see when it's done. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I normally don't block my sweaters, but I think I will steam this one after it's done so that it doesn't roll so much. Just by putting I'm going to have this 3 rows here, and the facing is going to help a lot. So I added some to my sleeves because I wanted them to be longer, So it's turning out really, really great. I am in love with it. I think it's going to be my go-to sweater. And there was some pulling in the arm. It was very interesting because I had already done the arms when I decided to undo the whole sweater and start again. So this part that did the pulling was from a part in the beginning that was not pulling at all. So just because the stitches, I had more stitches here, it caused this pulling. But I think it's kind of cool. And in this side, the pulling was in the back. And I'm leaving it like that. I could have worked with 2 threads at the same time. I decided not to do it, and I like it. I like it very much. So I watched and I mentioned her. It's Crystal Safer. She's a Danish. She lives in the Faroe Island in Denmark, and she was twice in. There were 2 interviews with her in Fibre Knitting Podcast, and I like her projects, and I even felt like buying some so that I would learn how she makes the structure. Because she always put a facing on her projects, and I googled facing, and all that came was something from Arnie and Carlos, but it was not what I wanted to know. Then funny enough, I buy a lot of videos, classes, mostly from Interweave. I buy a lot of videos, and there was this video about a hat maker. Her name is Tanis Gray, and I totally recommend. It's about hat, but when I was doing the top of here, I thought to myself, instead of doing a facing, I'm going just to wrap around with the same yarn, like with the same knitting, with the same yarn. And I said, I'm going to check it because I know she does something with the hats, and sure enough, there was the information I needed for making facings in the blouse. So to start with this part, I was working in pro stitch again because I knit Portuguese style. It's not difficult to do knit, but pro is faster. So I did this in pro. So my garter stitch is in reality pro and pro. And I just put one line here to get better. And then I wanted this to fold. And what I did is when I was in the back side, I knitted a complete line of knit instead of purl. And just by doing this, it makes my fabric automatically folds in the direction that I want. And I thought that was pretty cool. I had seen some people somewhere saying that they do knit rows, and then they do one per row and the fabric will turn. And it's the same if you are doing per rows, and if you do a knit row on the back side, on the wrong side, then it will flip like this. And that's what I use to make the top of the yarn. So now talking about facing, what Tanis Gray says is that I recommend her video. It's pretty good. What she says is that you should use 2 needles smaller than the needle that you are working on, and a yarn that is also, so if you're working with a worsted yarn, that was my case, she will work with a DK yarn, DK weight yarn. And when she said 2 needles down, that was a little bit vague for me, because I worked with this was a 5 millimeters knitting needle, and 2 needles down can be easily 4.5 millimeters because you have 4.75. When you're buying needles in millimeters, you have 4 in one thing. So you have 3, 325, 350, 375, and then 4, right? But because she said you go down from a worsted yarn to a DK yarn, I checked my little thing here, and what it gave me was the size. So it was between 375 and 425. So I used for DK. So I used the 4. I was knitting with a 5. I start then knitting with the 4. So this was pretty good. The other thing, and the yarn that I used is this hand spun that I had, that is more like a DK. So that would work perfectly. When I see Crystal Zeifer designs, she always have the facing, and many times she has a facing that is sometimes she has a face that is color work, or she has a color that completely, brightens up the project. So I thought about using maybe a red or something, but then because, as you see, I am a gray person, I thought this sweater was already very colorful, right? So I decided that I was going to use a gray. And Tanis said that for you not to lose where you are and not to, you can start working here and you have to try to find a line that you can follow. But the thing is, if you don't have markers everywhere, it will end up that you're going to see that you're pulling too much on the project, and then you're going to have a bunch together. So if you put the markers, and what I did is, since I had done the sweater with this breaks on it, I put a marker in each one, and then this will help me stitch this or sew these stitches here on the back of the sweater. I'm pretty happy. I don't like to do finishing. I like to be done when I'm done knitting, but I'm pretty happy. And then once I finish this, then I will pick up stitches on the sides. Again, I don't like to pick up stitches, but it is what it is. So I'm going to pick up stitches on the side, do my rows like this. It is 6 rows. Do the turn 1 row. That's what I did here. I did my regular 6 rows, and then I knitted 1 completely row in the back so that it would fold, and then I started working with the gray yarn. So that's what I'm going to do here, and then I just need to put the locking system and steam it. So I'm sure that for next, because I want to finish it, for next video it will be done. For next episode, I'm putting all the stuff there. So as I said, I do love, and this is the last thing, I do love videos, and I bought Debbie Mann's Dying in the Kitchen, or Dying in the Kitchen. I watched it yesterday too, but the other one was design yarns, color design yarns for spinners, and she says the more colors the better it is. And it's a thing. Like when I watched that video, I think I watched it 4 times throughout these years, and every time I watch that video, I get lost. I start doing the stuff that she does. It's amazing, and I get lost because I don't produce anything. I just play with the colors, and normally I get nowhere. But last time that I did that, I end up finishing the yarn, and I did some socks to my husband. And my husband, he's very good with his socks. He wears them every winter. And this winter I saw him, and I made 2 socks with the yarn that I make with her concept of more color the better. And I just look at his socks, and he's wearing one of them now, so he's showing them to you. And the other pair is the one that I like even better. But I do love these socks very, very much. And I decided that I'm going to do that. She usually blends her stuff in the carding because she likes to do singles. But I like to do plying, and right now I have been doing some 4-ply that are really sock yarn, the diameter. So I have separated a bunch of colors that I have, and I'm going to play with it. I don't know when exactly, but I already separate them because I want to play, spin some as they are like this one. I can spin as it is, and then maybe I can card some for the second yarn. So what I see is like she likes to have 12 color singles, right? But if I do 4 colors in each single, and if I ply them together, then I am going to have 12 colors or more, depending on how many I put there or how many I start with. So the plying thing increases the possibility. The other thing is that important thing here is when you are blending colors, you have a chance to get to end up with a muddy color, brown, but more like a muddy brown grayish. So to avoid that when you're doing that, and to have those speckles of color, because you're having so many, what you do is you try to stay on one side of the color wheel per ply. So I can use blues and greens in one ply, and then I can use red and oranges in the other ply, greens and yellows in another ply. So this way you don't get mud, you get colors. So as she says, it's a lot about sampling and checking what you have, and if what you get is not exactly what you want, you can add a little thing. So it is fun. It is fun, and I'm very glad. I'm going to do some of that. That's fun. Fun time. I also need to spin a lot. I haven't spun much lately, and because most of my projects are with hand spun, I have a few sock yarn because I normally tend to buy some commercial sock yarn, just because I love knitting socks and I want to try. So I need to spin. I have some goals to finish now in 2020, or at least up to the first 2 weeks in 2021. And then I'm going to take a while just spinning, because I already have other projects in my mind. And I want to put other videos from scratch. I want to do a tartan. I have this thing, tartan socks. I have this thing with me that I like quick. My husband said, "You're gonna put quick again on this video?" I like quick things. Maybe that's why I don't like finishing so much. I like to finish a sweater and then it's done. I think that's good. But I want to do this tartan knitting because we were going to have Wazun this year here in Huntsville, but because of COVID it was canceled, and the course that I chose to participate was a tartan course. And I got a video another video on vertical color stranding, and that is really good. And I think that to work the tartans, because I checked some videos on tartans, and what they do is they knit and they leave an area where they're going to crochet the lines that go up. And I think that's not my way to go. I will go with that video of vertical strand knitting, and I'll do something. So I'm spinning some to do, some dyeing for that. It's going to be a video, and there I will put the name of the person that has this vertical collar working video, because it's that cool. That's all for today. I don't know how long this is, but I talked a lot, I guess. I hope you are ready for Christmas, that the nicest spirit of Christmas come over everybody. I know it's going to be hard for some people because of the COVID. Some people in Europe have limitations on how many people they can see each time. So it's a hard time. But Christmas is beyond that, and I think if you allow the spirit of Christmas to be there, you're going to overcome it, and just to have joy and find a way to be with your loved ones in any way. If it's via Zoom, if it is via phone, whatever, you're going to be there. For those that celebrate Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah again. For those who are from other religions that do not have Christmas or Hanukkah, so I wish you a great time off, great holidays, and I'll see you soon. Merry Christmas.